Alright boys, I'm gonna be so for real in today's episode. If you ever catch me on a cruiser, legitimately, like I have bought one for my personal stable, please go ahead and just do a wellness check on me, alright? Just go ahead and send me to the latest, nearest psychiatric ward, the mental asylum, because I really don't think there's any chance of that happening. I have aged myself in dog years for motorcycling, in case you don't know. I've been riding for well over 10 years, but I've ridden over 200 different bikes on 13 different countries, excuse me. There's not even that many continents, Yam. Relax, dude. I'm adding continents over here. Maybe you do have to check me to the mental ward. And, you know, I've kind of been around the block a lot. I've had this arc to where I understand that sport bikes aren't really meant to be used on road the way that they're designed to be used, right? You kind of just, you know, can't really use them. So I started doing track days, club level racer, did a lot of cool stuff with that. And, you know, I started, you know, riding adventure bikes on road. And honestly, like, I understand the appeal of a long distance touring machine. As you guys know, I'm a big fan of the Honda Goldwing. I think the Honda Goldwing is a pretty sweet ride, but I still think it's a bit specialized, you know? I know that some people don't understand my critique of this with the Goldwing, but I really think that a 900-pound motorcycle is not really that fun to use on a day-to-day. And it's so specifically oriented around going ultra-long distances that, you know, unless you're going to go crush, you know, 600 miles in a day and just slap it up on the highway, or you do want to ride two up with the passenger in the utmost comfort, which I basically never do, I don't really see the benefit of a Goldwing, right? I think a middleweight adventure bike or even a flagship adventure bike does all that stuff with a little bit more grace going down the road in terms of its sporting prowess, in terms of its everyday handleability. And then on top of that, so, because I think the Goldwing is like the best standard for that type of motorcycle, on top of that, you do like a chromed out cruiser or something like that, you know. Lord have mercy. I get that some people like it. I understand. It's just simply not my cup of tea, and I just cannot ever see it being my cup of tea, you know? I think with adventure bikes and, you know, sport touring bikes, that sort of thing, I can see it maybe being in my future. But man, when it comes to cruisers, big chrome touring bagger daddy Harley things, man, it just isn't me. I think it's because it's more of like a cultural and stylistic mismatch more than anything else. I think that, you know, some people are gravitating towards that because it represents something from their personal lives. But again, for me, I'm just not really that kind of guy, you know? Yeah, honestly, I could see myself maybe doing like a multi-strada or something like that if I get really a lot older and still want to crush big distances. It's still kind of a big bike, you know? Again, anything that a cruiser does, any other motorcycle does better. And I stand by this opinion. I understand not everyone agrees with this opinion, but it's something that I really do fundamentally believe, that I don't think that a cruiser does anything that a normal motorcycle can't do. And all it really is a stylistic exercise more than anything else, and that style is just not really my bag. Now, when you think about, you know, flagship Italian machinery, multistrada V4, that sort of thing, there's a lot to like there, you know? There's a lot to like in that sort of motorcycle that, you know, you're paying for all the technology, the prowess, the abilities, all that good stuff, right? Some guys really like that whole Americana cruiser thing. I mean, again, I think for me, my speed's more of the, you know, cool European, Italian exotica. And even that, you know, it really is specifically Italian motorcycles. I don't really like the German stuff. You guys know my disdain for BMW GSs. To me, that's another branch of motorcycling, much like cruisers, and I'm like, oh my god, I just really don't like the GS very much at all. And I know that that's not a popular opinion. I know that motorcycle is beloved by so many people the world over. I really just cannot make heads or tails or make sense of it. And maybe that's the true wellness check, rather than a, you know, cruiser in my stable. If I have a BMW GS, you go ahead and call that same mental asylum, because I think I've fully lost the plot.
If you've been thinking about becoming a member on YammyNoob.co, now is the best time to do it. We've started new Discord-only micro giveaways. Every other week, I'm going to be giving away to someone on Discord some tires, gloves, helmets, jackets, boots, anything I can think of that would help them on their motorcycle ride. If you're interested in winning consistent fun prizes, head over to YammyNoob.co and become a member today. Of course, the best prize of all is winning a giveaway motorcycle. December 26th is the very last day you have to get in to win this bike. So head over to the website, become a member, and join and have some fun on the server. Now let's get back to the show.
Because whether we want to admit it or not, motorcycles do say something about us as the rider, right? We want them to communicate a message of who we are and our taste, right? And a Harley-Davidson communicates a lot. It is unfortunately a very brash and loud and, you know, kind of crazy looking thing that communicates a lot. And I just don't want to communicate what it is trying to communicate. I'm a low-key guy. I'd like to think I have some level of sophisticated taste. It's just not my thing, you know? And because it doesn't serve a utilitarian purpose, it's tough for me to say, oh yeah, I'd like to get one day. Because I'll give you a flip side example, right? I am the owner of a 2021 Dodge Ram 15, they don't even call them Dodges anymore. It's just Ram 1500 Limited. It's the top trim. I'm very happy. I bought the truck in 21. It was a little, you know, gift to myself. I was like, oh, I'm doing well. You know, let me splurge on a vehicle. So I splurged on the truck, right? And I really enjoyed it. And the only reason I got it was because it had air suspension, so I could lower it, so I could lay my bikes in the back, and I could put my bikes in the back of the truck. And it's super comfortable for long distance drives, which I do quite a bit when I go out to do track days and that sort of thing. So I've taken that truck across the country. I feel like I'm doing a long distance drive on it every week basically, and I wanted something really comfy, so I got the top trim. However, I am the furthest thing from a Ram 1500 owner that I think you could theoretically get from. I'm this, like, you know, relatively skinny immigrant. I don't have a DUI. I don't have a tribal tattoo. I don't have white Oakleys. I don't really drink beer. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a truck guy, but the truck is so insanely useful to me that it was something that I was like, oh my God, this thing's awesome and I have to get it. And I love the V8 in it. It's so nice. And so sometimes we buy things that are incongruous with our tastes and personalities merely because they serve an extremely good purpose, a good function, you know? I kind of feel like the house I bought is like that too. I literally only bought the house I'm in because of the school district for my kiddo and for the space that we need for my family. You know, stylistically, maybe it wouldn't have been the house that I chose. You know, maybe if I was still single, I would have gotten something in the same price point, but closer to the city, a little more modern and futuristic. But, you know, that doesn't make sense when you have kids. So we change and alter our buying patterns based on where we are in life. And that's, I think, the thing I see a lot is people say, give him time, he'll eventually get to a Harley. But again, a Harley is a substitutable good. If it's a bagger cruiser you're looking for, a middleweight adventure bike does all that same stuff. A flagship adventure bike, a sport touring bike, it is highly interchangeable for what that thing can do. And unless you really like the style, then that's the only thing that's going to do it for you. But I've ridden so many Harleys and none of them do anything for me. I feel kind of bad saying that because it's, you know, a third of American motorcycling is a Harley-Davidson, but truthfully, I'm not into the brand at all. Like, I just cannot do it. And I certainly can't do it from a totally different perspective, and that's value for money. A lot of people, I've seen this comment quite a bit, they'll say, this guy doesn't like a BMW GS because he can't afford it. And I'm sorry to say, but that's patently absurd. I could buy many multiple Harley-Davidsons if I wanted to, but that would be a really stupid use of money, because that's what I am. I'm not broke, I'm a cheap bastard. There's a big difference. There's a big difference. And I'll tell you, I am as cheap of a bastard as they get. And sometimes to my own fault. My wife makes fun of me. I have holes in my socks and my underwear, and she's like, just buy more underwear or socks. And I'm like, no, these are still working, and so it's fine. So I'm sometimes cheap to a fault. But yeah, Harley-Davidson is the opposite of that. It's something you would buy that you are disregarding the price. You say, no, I'm going to drop 40 G's on the Big Daddy bagger because I got to have the Harley, man. I got to do it. And that's not me at all. I cannot do that with the Harley-Davidson. It would drive me insane to spend that kind of money on a motorcycle that I could have just gotten like a $12,000 adventure bike and it would have been fine. So yeah, I've made this video a few times talking about cruisers. It always gets the same reaction. People always get upset at me and this and that. But you know what? I gotta make it again. And honestly, I'm kind of having fun leaning into my sport bike villain arc. I kind of lean into this character that people have ascribed to me. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, sure. I'm the mean sport bike guy that hates cruisers. Let's have a little bit of fun with that and put old Yami Noob in a bit of a box with that. But you cruiser guys are just jealous that I can lean over and actually have some power for performance and for the amount of money that I spent. And I don't look like a douchebag doing it. Well, boys, what do you think? Drop me a comment down below on this perception of cruiser riders. I'm never gonna be one. Again, use this video as evidence in the future. If I ever have a cruiser in my stable and I say, man, I can't believe it, I love owning this cruiser motorcycle, I'm having such a good time with it, point back to this video and say, check him into the mental institution. Check him in. He's done. He's cooked. Call it. Alright, boys, all that being said, thanks so much for watching today's quick little vlog. I really do appreciate it. I'll catch you in the next upload. See you later. I'm going to keep riding this thing. It's a lot of fun.